Chapter 6, Power and Plenty, the Favorable Balance of Trade. We have so far been concerned with the emergence during the 17th century of a particular discourse of economics with a specific vocabulary and a common topology. Slowly, over time, a kind of synthetical endeavor emerged, which we, in the last chapter, in analogy with John Kerry's terminology, called, quote, a science of trade. Thus it was in the discussions on economic topics preceding the, quote, boom of the 1690s that the supply and demand approach of Munn and Misselden was further sharpened. It was also in these discussions that the view that the commercial economy must be perceived as a, quote, natural system was carried further. Since Adam Smith, it has been emphasized that the, quote, favorable balance of trade perform a key role in the formation of a specific mercantilistic discourse. To some extent, this is certainly true. Thus, this, quote, doctrine was returned to over and over again in economic texts during this period. This, quote, catchword, suviranta, was, quote, good to think with, in the sense that it focused on the role of foreign trade and commerce for national economic growth and development. This was certainly an issue in which most of the economic pamphleteers and debaters took an active interest during this period. Thus, whether they discussed the role of the French wine import, the East India Company, or the impact of high rates of interest, this, quote, national motive stood in the forefront. However, this concern was neither a child of the 17th century nor an exclusive British specialty. Hence, in most of Europe during the 16th and 17th centuries, as we will see in the next chapter, particular national discourses emerged which dealt with how the nation-state should be made rich and powerful. In several of them, the positive role of a net surplus of money emerging from foreign trade was mentioned. This was the case, for example, in Italian and English treatises dealing with the subject. However, as we have seen, it is not so easy to interpret the favorable balance of trade doctrine. It is most probable that its meaning was not so easy to disentangle even for a contemporary public. First, it seems to have implied different things for different writers. Second, at least in England, its content changed radically over time. Hence, at the end of the 17th century, it had developed into a, quote, labor balance or foreign paid income doctrine with a quite different content than previously. We have suggested that it continued to be used because it seemed to focus on a key issue propelling national economic growth and modernization: foreign trade. In this chapter, we will discuss how the notion of a favorable balance of trade fits into a discussion of how the nation-state shall grow rich and powerful.
Look at this, jot down in your notes. Quote, foreign paid income.